All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Talks NBA, featuring my co host here, Zak Noble. If you don't already follow him on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days, give him a follow at Zak Noble. You can find myself at Scotty Drown. By the way, this podcast is presented to you by DSM Media, so be sure to give DSM Media a follow and hit the subscribe button on the channel here and like the video to help us defeat the algorithm. That's what it's all about, man. Get the community
Smash
involved
it.
here. Smash the like button, hit that subscribe button, guys. But welcome back to the show, man. It's been a while. It's been pretty busy for me, like with the Phillies and the Sixers season started and the Eagles, all of it going around in a circle. But we had to get together today. We were already planning to get together
Yeah.
anyways, but the big news, the elephant in the room, is James Harden traded to the LA Clippers today. Well, today, this morning, 2 a.m., whatever you want to call it,
2 a.m.
depending
in
where you are.
Philly. It's the new Drake
Yeah,
song,
depending
baby.
where you are in the country. I was
It's
asleep.
the next.
So,
It's the next Drake song.
well, I woke up this morning. I saw your text, and I was like, well, what the hell is this guy so excited about? Then I go
A,
to
ta-
Twitter, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And somebody
a,
else texted me, too, about
a
him being
tale
traded.
like any other, uniting these two fronts once again. It was perfect timing for us. I'm not. I'm not storming Normandy like y'all in Philly are. I'm going crazy, doing circles like Meek Mill on his bike. It's a blast out there. Have you
It's
seen Meek this
actually
morning in the streets? Yeah, I'm sure it's going crazy, but
It's actually crazy, man. For a group, a fan base to be excited about, four guys
about
averaging under
getting
5
worse.
points, being so hype about getting four guys that average under 5 points on the season so far. But nonetheless, I think it's more about getting Harden off the team. And I know for myself, man, I'll obviously throw it to you here, but for myself, it was for me. It
Ben,
was the
let's hear
idea
it.
of Harden coming back to the team, and after what I've seen from Maxey, taking the ball out of Maxey's hands, and that's kind of what I like about getting him out of here before the season actually starts for him, before we actually see him return to the team, and also just getting the guys in. Now, there's a lot of speculation if these guys that you got in the draft comp that you got is going to get flipped for another star player or a Zach LaVine, so on and so forth. Everybody's dreaming there. But what I like about it is the idea of getting guys here and knowing what your team is early in the season and getting to work with these guys early in the season and build that chemistry. So just to be clear, the return, you get Mook, so Marcus Morris from the Clippers. You get Rocco, Robert Covington. You get Nicholas Batum. You get KJ Martin. You get a 2028 protected first round pick, excuse me. You get another first round pick from the Clippers, which was received from OKC. You get 2 second round picks and a pick swap. The Clippers get James Harden, Philip Petrusev, and PJ Tucker in the deal. So first thoughts, instant thoughts here, Zach, for you, because I want to get the outside perspective. Obviously, Philly fans bias, right? We wanted James Harden out, and some people wanted him out no matter what you get in return. But what are your thoughts on the trade initially here? And I say initially because, like I said, I'm not 100% sure the Sixers are going to hold on to all of these guys. Not sure we're going to hold on to the draft compensation because for me, you're only giving up two guys. The roster was already full. So where are the cuts coming? But nonetheless, what's your initial thoughts on the trade, my man?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts are thank God it's over. I mean,
The drama.
the NBA season, the drama. I mean, you want the best players to be on teams. You want teams to be stable. You want them to be able
Yeah.
to maximize what they have. And so this trade needed to get done. Daryl Morey, it's crazy in the Sixers organization. This goes on before Daryl too, but like it's like they're a contender and then they're not, and then they cover their ass so well or decent enough, and then they do it all over. It's just a cycle. They get to be a contender again.
You're not
But
lying.
but the one factor that remains the same is Joel Embiid's never had a peak playoff season. So at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
mean that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because I hate seeing players. I mean, revolving door. I hate like I love trades. Don't get me wrong. I love trades, but there's only a couple for star players and then it starts to look bad. Like it's starting to look bad for Harden, but like
Yeah,
he has so much context. Like it looks really bad for Kyrie and Katie. Harden's not on that level yet, but like
yeah,
I mean Harden's actually got context where like this one is sick mother now.
yeah,
And that makes a lot of sense. And I'm proud of Daryl for doing what he set out to do, except,
yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. He had a contender last year, Daryl, and then he screwed it up by making his team much worse here. He got the coach. And I mean, it comes back to it's just tilting the scales. One
yeah,
positive one way, negative one way, a positive one way. So however you want to look at it, but just evaluating this trade and what actually happened, like for an expiring Harden who you were never going to get him back on board. It just wasn't happening. So you
yeah,
had to trade him. You
yeah,
absolutely had to trade him. And luckily, you did it early in the season, 3 games in, and the team wasn't affected. And Harden played this perfectly, I thought, and to help the team, actually.
yeah,
And he was coming back to play. I truly believe it. I thought he could have
yeah.
played the last 2 games, but the team purposely held him out. And I'm glad they didn't hold it any longer to hold him hostage
Now
either.
maybe
But like,
we see why they held him out. Maybe.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he got I said all along, all right. I said all along either need one unprotected first and Norman Powell. And then I'm happy for the Sixers. I'm happy.
yeah,
And to get Covington and Marcus along with it, you'd have to match salaries. And I would have been very happy with that return. However, they didn't get Norman Powell, which is the biggest blow because I think he's better than Tobias Harris and way more valuable for his price tag too. But um, mind you, I mean, Norman Powell would have been absolutely perfect for this. Kudos to the Clippers for keeping him and keeping Terrence Mann. You didn't get Terrence
yeah.
Mann either, but they did get KJ Martin, and they
He's
did get
interesting.
yeah, he is interesting, but I'm just worried that they just got these guys because as long as Daryl got his 2 firsts, and that was the other side of it. I said get one of those players and an unprotected first, or get 2 unprotected firsts or 2 firsts, and one's
Yeah,
unprotected. I don't know about the other one. I don't
yeah.
think it is, but
One is protected. I think the one from OKC is protected. The one
yeah.
from the Clippers is not.
But to get one unprotected first, come on. That's
Yeah,
like anybody who's saying this is a fleece. No, it's not a fleece. I mean, yes, the Sixers got worse. No doubt about it. They're not a contender right now. But do I think they can be with this roster? I'll give it a 5% chance because at the end of the day, like, you got to go out and play Marcus Morris. He's got to be at his peak. You got to
yeah,
go because I believe in everybody else right now currently on the Sixers, but
yeah,
Roko's got to get back to his peak. We haven't seen that in a minute.
yeah,
Um, and then Joel Embiid's got to be healthy and at his peak in the playoffs. We've never seen that. So if those three
yeah,
things happen, yes, they can win the title with this team on paper, but that percentage is so small. But with the 2 picks coming back, you actually got the ammo to go out and get a Levine or an OG Anunoby and
yeah,
um, make this team a true contender once
yeah,
again really soon here. So I think before I was like, if you're getting a shitty package, you got to get rid of Embiid right away and sell high. I'm
yeah.
not there anymore. Like I think you hold on to Embiid right
You
now
got
because
just enough.
yeah, and Maxi's showing everything we imagine and more right now, and
Yeah,
the team is deep enough. The problem is Nick Nurse going to actually play these guys to make this team as good as
right.
possible, or is he just going to focus on winning a bunch of regular season games and maximizing Maxi and Embiid? Yeah, because what fans don't understand is you can win a lot of regular season games and
Yeah,
still not be a contender. We've seen it time and
yeah,
time again, and that's where one thing I could see the Sixers team right now because they need this depth. That's what it's gonna. They need these defensive pieces to help separate them from other people that have
yeah,
more top tier talent. Um, that's where I'm at on the Sixers. I mean, glad it's over. I just wish it worked out because Harden wanted to be there. I truly believe it,
yeah,
and I mean, Maury's got to figure this out. I mean, he can't screw up the Embiid situation. And I mean, we'll get into Maxi later and another time. But to finish off the Clippers side of things
Yeah.
is they needed to do this deal too. They had to because their team isn't good enough for one. These guys are expiring and old, and they weren't going to trade Kawhi and PG, so they had to
Yeah.
get better. This is the move to make.
This is all
However,
in.
however, I'm worried that they might not. They might need a little bigger four. I'm glad they got PJ Tucker back, but he's just undersized four.
Yeah.
Um, and so they're giving up their two big fours. Yet they weren't even using Marcus Morris. That's
That's the thing. He
irrelevant.
hasn't played this season.
Yeah. And KJ Martin wasn't doing much to begin with.
Yeah.
And the insiders I've talked to, they said KJ Martin's got to earn his stripes and he's not just going to be getting his play. So it's like, were they ever even going to use him anyway? So
Right.
in that case, it doesn't matter my thoughts on those two guys if they weren't ever going to use them in the first place. So home run, I mean, for the Clippers here because they didn't use one of their first, but at the same time, an unprotected. I don't think you should have gave up an unprotected, but at the end of the day, you had to do it. You had to
Yeah.
get that done,
To get it done.
and you kept Norman Powell, and they looked amazing their first couple of games here. Kawhi and
Yeah.
PG are peaking. Everybody else looks very, very good right now. So Harden, hopefully, he's looking like he did last year, and things should be rolling. But yeah, really excited to see the ball moving forward here.
I'm interested on the Clippers side. Like, do you now bring Westbrook off the bench and Harden starts, or do you start both of them if you're the Clippers? What are your thoughts there?
I personally uh, probably start them both to start.
Just to
Um,
see
yeah, just to see, because I thought they worked well in Houston. It's just the talent wasn't
around them.
maximized, and then
Yeah.
they went away from what was working in the regular season in the playoffs, and that's what was their fault.
Fell apart.
Um, and which was really bad and interesting to say the least. But if they get back to where they were in Houston, and then you add these two other amazing players in there, things could be pretty special. But um, I always push back on the people in Philly that said um, Harden was not going to maximize Maxi, and cause I thought this Maxi leap was coming regardless. And I think Harden's only like there's no tape that says Harden hasn't adapted and listened to coaches. Like he's adapted and listened, even if he didn't like it last year with Doc. There, the facts and the tape show that he's adapted to every coach he's ever needed, and he's going to need to adapt again.
Yeah.
Um, he can't. I mean, he can't go back to Houston Harden for whatever anybody believes. I mean, if this is going to work out to the full potential, I mean, it's all about his usage being around like 26% ish.
Yeah.
Um, Westbrook, I know will be okay coming off the bench, which is great. But I wouldn't start that way, would you?
No, I would probably start Westbrook. I have it written down here. So it comes down to either Westbrook or Terrence Mann. Because I don't think you start Norman Powell, right? He's your sixth man. He's your scoring punch off the bench. You could start PJ Tucker. I mean, you could. You look at it, Kawhi, PG, Zubac, those are locked in. Harden, I
Yep.
believe, will be locked in once he gets
Oh,
up
he's
to
got to
speed
be
with the team. So then it just comes down to, do you want to start Terrence Mann or do you want to start Russell Westbrook? In that, like, I don't
Yep.
know. Would you say Terrence Mann would be the power forward in that case, or would it be Kawhi? Like, it
I
doesn't
mean,
matter position
yeah.
wise. It's just about the five that are starting in reality. So yeah, for me, it comes down to, would that other four players, would they play better with Terrence Mann as a starting unit? Could he do more for them, or could Russell Westbrook be that better glue piece there?
Well, Russ is going to need the shooting. I mean, he's got Bones there and
Yeah,
Norman Powell. I mean, but that's why I probably like Man starting a little bit more.
yeah.
But
I think the fit with Mann, and as far as like a glue guy, like a true glue guy
yeah,
that doesn't need the ball in his hands, I think Mann fits that role a little bit better.
for sure. And just a good cutter and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then you bring Westbrook, you bring, Norman Powell, you bring Bones Highland, you bring all those guys off the bench, energy guys, PJ Tucker, Plumlee. So they still got depth there. So, like, I guess the way I look at this trade for both sides, man, is it comes down to somebody else's health outside the trade. It comes down to Kawhi and PG's health in LA for them to reach their ceiling. I don't think, personally, if the Clippers don't have a healthy Kawhi at the end of the season, that they're winning regardless. I don't think they're winning a championship. Same thing with the Sixers. I think with Embiid, if he's not healthy, if he's not peaking, they're not winning a championship. With this roster construction, to be clear, I see them ending up in the same spot, like ceiling wise, right? Second round exit. Like that's what this team would be maximized out in my eyes, which is why I do think at some point, barring an uprisal from someone, right? Tyrese Maxey continues to play at like an all-pro level, averaging 25 plus points and only turning the ball over. Like he's been playing perfect so far. I don't think he's going to continue to play perfect. I still think that jump is there. But when you look at it, I think it's inevitable for the Sixers to flip these pieces, these resources into something else and to kind of trim the roster a little bit because they just got a ton of guys right now in reality. You look at it, you got Tyrese Maxey and Patrick Beverley at the point guard spot. You got DeAnthony Melton, Jaden Springer. Furkan Korkmaz, I don't know why he's still in the roster, but he's there taking up a roster spot nonetheless. Kelly Oubre, Nicholas Batum, KJ Martin, Daniel House, Tobias Harris, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, Embiid, Paul Reed, and Mo Bamba. So you look there, you got about 3 or 4 guys at each position outside of point guard, which that would be where I would say they could need a little bit of extra help is another ball handling guard because DeAnthony Melton just hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked good this season so far. At
See,
least not good enough for me.
that's a
But
part of the Maxi development that's going to take time. Like he's not going to make everybody. He's not a player. He's never been a player yet to prove he makes other people better around him, and
yeah,
that takes time though. I mean,
yeah,
some people are very gifted like that, and it just comes natural. But Maxi's not one of those guys. He's a scoring first guy, and I'm just how he play makes and runs the show. I mean, it's not doesn't lead to other players getting better. It leads to some baskets here and there, but doesn't
yeah,
make improvements. But I'm not saying that won't never come. I expect it to come. But yeah, look at the minutes already. Maxi and Tobias, 39 and 37
yeah.
minutes. Like, come on, Nurse. Like,
Against the
uh,
Blazers and
right?
the
It's bad.
Raptors on
It's
Saturday, right?
bad. No, it's quite bad. So I'm okay with everybody else's minutes, to be honest. But like Kelly Oubre's are going to need to probably go down. Melton's are all about is he going to shoot, and
Yeah,
he's got to shoot above 34% from three,
yeah,
if because his defense is so good. I believe he's all NBA defense, but so can Pat Bev. So is
yeah,
Pat Bev ever going to shoot the ball? He hasn't taken a three yet. So um, with that said, I mean, I don't like that Mo Bamba's not getting any minutes. I mean,
I agree there. I
I
agree
think
there.
that needs to change because he's gonna definitely Embiid's gonna miss some games. He's got to be the
Yeah,
guy that backs up Embiid, no matter how much you like Paul Reed. But like, I'd be looking at Furkan, Jaden Springer, Daniel House. Those would be the guys going out for me. Um, and no matter how much you like Jalen Springer, he's not there yet. I never have believed in him. I always thought he's been overrated, but like
yeah,
they got enough defense. They got enough guards. Like they don't need Jaden Springer anyways. So
yeah. The
um,
defensive impact. It's like you got
yeah,
Beverly with the experience, you got D Melt with the experience that you're going to play there. So it's like he's kind of a repeat fit, right? Like
right.
that isn't ready yet. Yeah, I agree there as well, man.
So as much as we might like what we've seen out of the Sixers so far, like Nurses, it's only been 3 games. Yes, I know. And
Yeah,
he's trying to win games, trying to get off to a hot start, and why not start at the top, which he is with the 3 main players right now, and even worked in Kelly Oubre there. But like this team, I truly will always like I will say this, like even last year, like as bad as Embiid was, they could have. I mean, if they got a little more out of their bench unit, they could have done it with what they had.
yeah,
But like you gotta like some teams are loaded at the top and some teams are their strength is their depth, and the way the way Morey's built this team, I truly believe they need this depth here. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. I could be way wrong on this, and maybe Kelly Oubre just keeps blossoming. I mean, I love Kelly Oubre, and I think he's great and everything. But like, do I think he's talented enough to be the third or fourth best player on a championship team? No, I'd rather have balance in like a 7-8 slot.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with you there. I think my coming around to what Daryl Morey has done with the roster just over the offseason and now with this trade, like you said, he's added depth. And I do think just from like the idea of trying something new. So trying something new with Nick Nurse, right? Bringing Nick Nurse in, getting Doc Rivers out. Now we see an offense where you have cutters, you have guys cutting through the
Yep.
lane magically. It's beautiful. Guys are moving around. They're not just watching, Joel Embiid dribble the ball in the post and get double and triple team. Guys are moving around. They're finding open spots and actually running an offense. So to that point, that's something new for Sixers fans. I feel like it's been like a sigh of relief so far to start this season and see how Nick Nurse has his team running. But the other side of trying something new as well is having, rather than your three stars, right? And James Harden, Embiid, maybe it was supposed to be Tobias, but it was Maxey, or back in the day it was Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Jimmy Butler, or
Yep.
Embiid, Harden, and Tobias. It's like it's always had to be, 3-star level players, 3 all-star level players. So this is kind of different. You only have Embiid, you have Maxey who is ascending, but is he going to be that star
Yeah, I
all
think he is.
season?
I think
I
he's.
think he
I,
is too,
but they
personally.
still don't have
But it is a question mark.
playmaking and passing. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
appreciate you saying that, but no, we've been all in. I think he's proven he's there already, but I still don't, no matter what the assists tell you, I still
yeah,
don't like the flow of the offense and the passing and playmaking. But
yeah,
again, you don't need as much passing and playmaking as if it's a connected, free flowing ball movement
yeah,
offense, and you got Marcus Morris and Robert Covington getting wide open looks at times, but that will never happen if these guys don't play. So,
yeah.
with
No,
that
I
said, I mean,
go
last
ahead.
thing I want to say here is like eh, the highs and lows of like the team chemistry and the personality, like just the vibes around this Philly team has been interesting. Like Daryl Morey that's one thing he's never focused on between coach and the players and whatnot. I don't think a Daryl Morey team, like the vibes have ever been immaculate except last year. I really liked that team and the vibes, and they all loved each other and played like, and Maxey's about as good of a personality as you'll get in basketball. Um,
Yeah,
Joel Embiid, absolutely love his personality, and it's awesome. And you got a bunch of guys like, but the thing is, they gotta all tie. It's gotta go front office down,
yeah,
and you gotta you can't just treat these guys like chess pieces and transactional. I mean, there's got to be a more connected, unless you got the talent to exceed the fit, or you got
yeah,
a player like Steph where everything just revolves around him,
yeah,
and he's such a great personality itself. Maxey, who knows, maybe could be that guy. I'm not saying he's ever going to get to Steph's level, but like
yeah,
where he just connects everybody because it's such a fun-loving personality where there is very little high and lows or what it shows. It's just all internal for him. Um, which I mean, it's been interesting hearing him talk about that. But now that he finally understands his role, it
yeah,
his mentality should be better than ever. But like, it's so hard to get personalities to all align, and I think Nick Nurse can do that. I think you bring in guys like Marcus Morris, though, and who else? Nicholas Batum. You gotta get them involved and make them feel connected.
yeah.
Where
That's
Doc Rivers didn't do that. Like he didn't get these guys feel like they were all a part of it. Like the players did that. The players made that feel that way. Then they
yeah,
felt this disconnect from the coach. So that's something I'm watching out for. And Marcus Morris, I mean, he's a Philly guy, so he'd be an
yeah.
awesome guy to have, and you
It's gonna
want
be
him on your
interesting.
side. Yeah.
I was going to ask you just to kind of cap this off as far as the trade goes. We'll probably talk about it some more within the power rankings that we do here in the second half of the show. But if you are the 76ers, same question as the Clippers. If you're the 76ers, who is your starter that is now inserted into the lineup? Not for James Harden. Obviously, James Harden wasn't playing, but PJ Tucker out of the lineup. Do you go KJ Martin, young, explosive athleticism? Do you go
Yeah.
Marcus Morris, the steady veteran, but kind of similar to Tobias Harris in a sense? Do you go Rocco or Nicholas Batum, 3-and-D guys? So how do you feel versus the fit for the starting lineup specifically there?
Yeah, I go probably Rocco, being he's got the minutes in LA. He's warmed up. And if
Yeah,
his shot's not falling, if he's not rebounding his ass off, um, the defense should be there regardless. But they need the shot to fall in the defense because they
yeah.
have other guys they can place there. I'd go with Rocco. I really would. And just he's a part of the process, man. This
I
means
know.
something to him. I mean,
Throwing it back.
he's like, God has a plan for me. He's excited for this. He posted on Instagram or whatever, and I think he's grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah,
He's excited to come back here, but he's not going to be excited if you don't play him and he doesn't get his opportunity.
yeah,
Same with Marcus Morris. Like, you got guys that can buy in and really
yeah.
have a special environment again. You just got to make it happen. But I don't know. Kelly Oubre, I mean, could come in and out of the starting lineup. I'd be okay with that as well. And
I like
just
him as the sixth man. I won't
no,
lie
I
to you.
love it. I
That's
love
kind of
it.
why I
Yeah.
didn't mention him because I want him to continue to be that spark plug off the bench
Yep.
and give us that energy, that scoring punch off the bench. But if you do go the Kelly Oubre route now, you do have Marcus Morris that can provide that scoring punch off the bench, give you about 12 to 13 points a game. So it is interesting. I like what you said earlier. You take, obviously PJ Tucker's gone. Take Daniel House out of the rotation, right? You can fill him in. Paul Reed, what happens with him, right? Like he's another guy that's kind of like a tweener. He's not really a backup center. He's not really a floor spacing four. He's a hustle defensive guy, gets on the boards and stuff, but is he worth playing over a Marcus Morris, over a Rocco, over a Nicholas Batum that has playoff experience,
Yeah,
right?
let's
So
last note. That's a good thing because he's played 13 minutes. But like, I'd rather give those minutes to Mo Bamba or those other two new
yeah,
incomers, and even Batum. Like, I'd give Paul. I'm sorry if Paul Reed stands. There's a lot of them out there, but
he's
unless you
very
desperately
highly
need,
regarded by the
yeah,
Sixers fan base.
no, and he's fine player. But like, I'd give him 0 minutes. I'd literally put him down to 0 because it he's not a guy they need,
Doesn't fit.
and he
Yeah,
doesn't have a ton of upside right now. So you got to find these minutes somewhere, and if you're going to keep playing Maxi 39 minutes a game, you better get other players down to 0, and that's House, that's Reed. I mean, Bev's got to come down to 10 if he's not ever going to shoot a 3 ball. And I love Patrick Beverly. But PJ Tucker's 22 minutes of coming off. So that's
yeah.
quite a bit. That's quite a bit
22
right there.
minutes, 0 points. No, he was averaging like 2 points a
22-0.
game. He was
That's
averaging like two
insane.
points a game.
No, it might as well be 0.
Let's switch paths here and talk about the rest of the league. As we plan, that was the plan coming in, right? Talk a little bit about the Sixers and how they've been playing without Harden. Didn't know this trade was going to happen, so we were planning to talk about the league as a whole mostly here. So let's kind of switch paths and talk about our top power rankings in the league so far. Must be noted, it's very early into the season. A lot of teams have only played maybe 3-4 games so far. So very fluid list, I will say, but this list will change quite often throughout the season. And I'm sure you'll see some new teams in here over the coming weeks. But I'll throw it to you. Let's start at the bottom 10. If there is any honorable mentions you want to throw in there, Zach, definitely feel free because I know you are a guy that gives me the thorough lists. You like to dig in. So if you have any honorable mentions along with 10, definitely feel free to throw them in, mention them there. But who is your number 10 ranked team in the NBA right now, man?
Yeah, so they were, I don't know, number 5 or 6 in my preseason rankings, and they've dropped already. And they started off 1 and 2, but with my rankings, I want people to know is like I always keep the championship in mind. Okay,
Yeah,
like not how yes, it's quite a bit of how they're playing right now. It's like 40-60, but you get a little boost if your record's a little worse yet. I think you have better title odds. Um, so with that said, my number 10 is the Cleveland Cavs. I've seen
okay,
Mobley and Mitchell both peak, and that was awesome. They both had a peak game, and um, these guys, I think they have everything it takes outside of chemistry, really, to contend.
yeah,
I think they have the goods if they can figure out these rotations and come together. And Mobley keeps growing like this, but um, they're 1 and 2 right now. There's definitely a lot of teams with better records below them, but I'm not worried about them. I think they're going to be very good all year, and looks like Mitchell's fully on board with giving them everything they got this year, and the smoke's not leaving. So they, I had them 6 to start the year. I'll tell you
yeah.
that, but they're now down to 10 for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually had the Cavs at number 9 to start this season. Well, let me give you my number 10 first before I get there because I actually do have the Cavs in number 9 spot. Just kept them
Okay.
in the same place, honestly. Trying not to be too overreactive here to the first 3 4 games of the season. But my number 10 team is going to be the Lakers. They're 2-2 right now, right? They started the season with wins over the Suns and then the Magic last night. LeBron hasn't looked the greatest so far, but I expect him to kind of turn that around at some point. And I do like the roster construction, the depth that this Lakers team possesses. I think they will take a little bit of time to just kind of figure out the chemistry, the rotations that they want to have set there with bringing in some of the guys they brought in over the offseason, Christian Wood, Cam Reddish, those type
Hmm.
of guys. But nonetheless, I do like where they stand. As you mentioned, with the championship in mind, I do think they are a contender, and they will be there at the end of the season with the rest of these teams that we'll mention. But yeah, I'll go with the Lakers at number 10. And then just to get ahead of it, I went with the Cavs at number 9. While they're 1-2, I'm with you. I do think they are probably the fourth best team in the East, if not the third. I think they're in that conversation with the Sixers and the Heat. You can even throw maybe the Knicks in there for fourth best team in the East. I think as the season goes on, you'll see the Cavs start to get better. That chemistry will get better. And I do love the additions of Max Strus, man. I think that that defense and that 3 point shooting more specifically is going to help them a lot. They needed floor spacing. You add Georges Niang, you add Max Strus. I think that helps significantly down the line as they start to get comfortable playing next to each other, like you said.
Yeah, Max has looked awesome to start the year.
Yeah, I like his fit
27
there.
banger and rebounding his ass off too. So uh, I have the Lakers up a bit. I'll just say that. But what, you still believe they're a contender? I do think they have it on paper, but
Yeah,
um, they're not through obviously 4 games. They haven't played like it whatsoever.
yeah,
Anthony Davis is the only one I'm impressed with, and Torian Prince, sure. But Austin Reeves has been absolute ass, but I almost put that on LeBron and Darvin Ham.
yeah,
And it just seems like LeBron, I mean, is more vocal than ever and is coaching this team. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't seem like Darvin Ham has any pulse on this team besides rotations and
I do
minutes a
feel
little
you there.
bit. And that's a scary thing. I've never been a fan of coach player LeBron, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting how this team plays out. AD looked like a monster last night, but
Yeah,
defense can be very good on this team.
yeah.
But
I like that
Austin
as their
Reeves,
calling card. I do.
yeah, Austin Reeves needs more than 10 field goal attempts a game and late in the shot clock and just sporadic. And he's taking that typical LeBron decline right now.
The LeBron decline.
It's where you play with
Oh man.
LeBron long enough that you look good for a couple of games and then you just go in the dumps.
To be fair, I did have the Lakers at number 7 going into the season, so they did drop a little bit with the start. But I guess when you say contender, there are levels to contending, right?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put them in my top 5, 6 contenders in the NBA. No, I don't think I would. Um, who's your number 9?
My number 9 is the Dallas Mavericks, and
I like that.
this is I mean, more based on right now. They're 3-0, and
Yeah,
call me crazy, but I had Dallas like so power rankings based on like title chances before the year. Okay, I had Dallas, but like this is why it's so weird, and you got to understand my rationale here. So
yeah,
in my predictions, I had the Dallas Mavericks finishing as the 3rd seed. So that's looking pretty good. I think they're
interesting.
going to be an awesome regular season team. But my power rankings before the year, I have them number 17, which, yes, that may be contradictory. But like I said, a lot of teams can be great in the regular season and not great in the postseason. And that has to do with Kyrie's health and making this pick on young guys like Derek
Yeah,
Lively and Omax and just Josh Green, and now Jaden Hardy's not getting his minutes and they're still 3-0. But yeah, I love what Luke is doing. Derek Lively's been amazing.
yeah,
I think this is a fair spot to give a 3-0 team. But no, they're not a contender whatsoever. Like right now, I think they're ceiling second round or conference finals, but
yeah.
everything would need to break right for both those.
Yeah, no, I actually love the Mavs in that spot. I have the Mavs at number 8, so right above the Cavs right now. And it is because of that 3-0 record. They were not in my top 10 power rankings to start the season. So this would be more of the reactionary type of move for me is moving up to the 8th spot. But I do like what they've done so far this season. Wins over the Nets, Spurs, Grizzlies. Obviously, not all about who you play so early in the season, right? It's just about building that consistency and that chemistry. Luka's been amazing, right? To say the
Yeah,
least. I mean,
MVP
he's
for
been
sure, no
incredible.
doubt.
Yeah,
He's number
the
one in
leading
MVP
MVP.
through 3 games.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about that. Kyrie Irving could be a little bit better, but
Terrible
fitting in, I
ass.
guess,
He's been
beside Luka.
absolute terrible, man. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like
for
he should
Kyrie Irving standards, yeah, it's actually incredible.
16% from 3.
Yeah.
16% from 3.
I didn't even see
30,
that.
39 from the field.
That's
Well,
disgusting stuff.
he's
Yeah.
made 2 free throw attempts. He's 1,000% there. Good job, Kyrie. And no, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been way better than him.
Yeah.
Grant
Tim
Grant
Hardaway's
Williams
looked
been
good.
better than Kyrie. Like Kyrie's literally been the 4th or 5th best player on the team, which to be 3-0 and that, like, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like what Derek Lively has added there, though. I think he's a perfect fit. Lob threat for Luca, obviously protecting the rim, that type of stuff. His job can be very simple. So I don't know. Yeah, Kyrie. That being said, they're 3-0 with Kyrie looking like
No,
trash
that's
so
that's
far.
what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I mean, you can only expect to go up from there. I
Exactly.
mean, the
Who do
beginning
you
of the year is where things fluctuate, but
who do you got at
number
number
8
8, man?
Number 8 is all about injuries. Like I truly think these guys fully healthy, but that's a huge question mark for these guys. I had them as the 5th ranked team in my power rankings before the year. Now they're down to number 8, and that's the Phoenix Suns. No Booker and Beal early, but they've looked decent. Um, Not a ton to say about them other than no health right now, and they're lucky to be here on my rankings. But that's like I said, I value the title chances quite a
Yeah.
bit.
No, I think it's fair, and I actually have the Suns at number 7 for myself. At 2-1, they got wins over the Warriors and Jazz, but really just haven't seen Devin Booker. He's played one game. Haven't seen Bradley Beal at all. KD's played in all the games. Obviously, he's getting big hits. But they've still been able to crank out 2 out of 3 wins. We're able to beat the Warriors with D-Book playing. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt there, but the health, man, to start the season like this. You know what I mean? Bradley Beal
Yep.
not playing at all to start the season. It is kind of fishy or sketchy, I guess I would say, about the Suns. Doesn't make me want to trust them superiorly, right? Like talent-wise, if those guys are playing, probably top 5, top 16, maybe even top 4, right? But you got to see them play together before we can kind of give them that benefit of the doubt, especially with them starting out the season hampered. So I went with the Suns at number 7. So I guess I'm like one ahead of you
Yeah.
in a couple of these right
Real
now.
quick, I'll just say their defense has
Yeah,
been very good. I mean,
yeah,
their defense has been very good from top to bottom. Offense has been not great. I mean, that's going to take some time. KD is shooting 27%.
mm,
Their 3-point shooting's bottom 5 in the league right now, and I expect that to be way up if
yeah.
ball movement can figure out a bit there. But yeah, if you have two
Eric
players
Gordon's
like
shooting
those
29%
shooters
too.
missing time, yeah, that's going to happen. Who do you got at 7?
No, Suns at 7. So Suns at
Okay, so
7.
my 7 is the Philly Sixers. So we touched on these guys a lot. I'll just say it
Yeah,
real quickly. Um, I have them here because they are looking really good. I mean, uh, it is what it is. Maxey and Embiid have both looked very good through 3 games. We touched on all the nitty gritty stuff
yeah,
before this, but um, like if they, for instance, if they had Harden, I'd put him as the third or fourth best contending odds. Right now, they're probably around 10-ish, but 9, 10-ish. But
yeah.
there's 7 in my power rankings. That's because it's based on both.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Because I actually have the Sixers at number 6. So one ahead of you once again. So just to be clear, so far I have Lakers at number 10, Cavs at number 9, the Mavs at number 8, the Suns at number 7, and the Sixers at number 6. We did touch on them already, so I'm not going to go
Yep.
into a full monologue on the Philadelphia 76ers. But I like what I've seen so far. I think it is something different. Nick Nurse, the depth, it is something new to try and see how it works out. I've never seen Embiid with this many 3-and-D type of forwards around him. So it is interesting to have that length around him defensively. It's very interesting to me. We'll see how it plays out. But as of right now, the Sixers at number 6 so far in the way they played.
All
Who
right.
do you got at number 6?
My 6 is the Golden State Warriors. All right.
Okay.
And Clay's missing a little time already, but um, Draymond's missed a game or two.
Yeah.
But Steph is still on a tear. He's probably top 3 to top 5 in the MVP discussion already. I'll put my rankings out tomorrow because I love doing that week by week. So be ready for that. But Klay Thompson's
Absolutely.
looking great in the 3 games he's played. Chris Paul's not bad. 8 assists, 11 points. Um, Outside, he can't make a 3. I don't
Interesting.
know if
Yeah, 6%.
he's made one. He's like 1 for something. Yeah, 6%. But they're not a contender really to me yet until I see their depth develop as well. They're a lot like the Philly situation. Um, they need to figure out this depth.
Need
Kuminga at
Kaminga.
21 minutes, Wiggins only playing 25.
Yeah.
They need a lot more out of Wiggins. Wiggins has been terrible to start the year. I mean,
Yeah.
4 games, 10 points, but he's shooting 39 and 18% from 3. So that's never going to get it done. But I'll give
Yeah.
shout outs to Clay, Steph, Chris. Looney's been solid.
Yeah.
But Kaminga, Moody's been not bad. I'll give Moody. I mean, he's playing good D too, and pretty good connecting piece. Looks like he's in flow. Trace Jackson Davis. Love that they're giving him some minutes early. Want to get those minutes up even more. Give him all of Dario's minutes. Dario can get down to 0. That's fine. But yeah, number 5, who you got?
Yeah, Sarge getting 19 minutes per game for them. Number 5 for me is going to be the LA Clippers, who we've also talked about a good bit here. With James Harden, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, how he fits in and how that looks. Even PJ Tucker, championship guy, right? Brings hustle, brings toughness. And they've already been playing really well to start the season. You look at guys off the bench, Norman Powell, Bones Highland, they're contributing very heavily. I think Bones is starting off the season averaging 18 points per game off the bench. So that's huge for them. You talk about Russell Westbrook. He's fitting in just fine in LA with the Clippers. He's fit in since he got there, right? You
Hmm.
look at Kawhi and PG. That's the big story there. They're just healthy. They're peaking at the beginning of the season. That's exactly what you want to see. So on paper, I think the Clippers are right there. I think they compete with anyone when they're healthy, and I think they are a true contender when they're healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. We just got to see them continue to be healthy going forward, and that includes James Harden as well. He hasn't played yet this season, but looked like he was in good shape when we saw him in training with the Sixers at first, and then took about 10 or 11 days off due to his mom and her health. So we'll see how he fits in there. He should be happy now, right? Like he shouldn't be having to worry about the front office. They were willing to give up what they needed to get him in house. So we'll see how he fits in. But they come in at number 5 for me here, man. The LA Clippers.
All right, I'll rattle off my next two. So we've touched on the Lakers. I got them at 5 here, mainly because I believe in their depth and their title odds. But again, they don't look like a title contender right now, just like I said the Golden State Warriors do. I think Warriors look more of like contenders than these guys do. But
Yeah.
these guys are 2-2, and I believe in this team yet. I could go very south quickly for me.
Yeah.
Just don't like how they're treating Austin Reeves, D'Angelo. It doesn't look in flow. But
Yeah.
LeBron's looked great at times. He's looked terrible at times. Just kind of how it's been. AD's been the constant for sure. They haven't done anything great. They've been average basically across the board. 3-point shooting needs to go up a
Yeah.
lot, but defense is kind of their um, bright spot for me right now. I mean, it's not. They're
Yeah.
still a top 15 defense, but like they've showed potential to be elite on that end.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree with that, especially with
and
AD back there, man.
For sure. Yeah, he's looking almost in peak form. He's not there yet, but he's almost looking there. Number
Do you think Gabe Vincent will be better for them? Just a quick question, and you can move
Yeah.
to number 4. Think Gabe Vincent ends up being better for them so far? 6 points, shooting the ball, what 39% from the field, 7% from the 3-point line. He's got to be better, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he's not better than 7% from three, you bench him. He goes down to 0 minutes.
Yeah,
Like
he doesn't need to
same with
play.
Same with Cam Reddish.
Yeah,
Um, like
12 minutes per game for him.
yeah, go try out Max Christie and Maxwell Lewis for those guys. But
Yeah,
um, Gabe Vincent, they're paying him to be a stroke artist, so we better find that stroke in there somewhere.
exactly.
Um, it could get ugly if that could be turned into a bad contract there, and that would be a big detriment on him because they need him to be good. Playing
Yeah,
28 minutes. He's playing 28 minutes right now,
yeah, that's the
which
big
is
thing.
equal
Big
to
piece of
Austin
the
Reeves, and yeah, a
rotation.
lot of people believe in Max Christie and Maxwell Lewis. So um, time will tell there. Number 4, this is where the trade boost. So giving them the hype train right now, but could be
Fair enough.
derailed quickly. This is where I got the Clippers. Um, to be fair, I mean I did have them pretty high before the season,
Yeah,
right around here, and they've looked amazing. Like I really like the way they're looking. Um, I think they're almost in peak form. Paul George and Kawhi right now. It's just um, might take a little bit of time. Honestly, it's crazy. It really hasn't. I mean, whenever Harden gets a new teammate or he goes to a new landing spot, it doesn't take time for him to gel. I mean, he's a lot more nimble and flexible and adaptable than people make him seem, and he just makes everybody better. It's Things are great for a year or two, and then that's when things start to go
and it
south
sours
usually.
out. Yeah. So
But
they got a
like,
little bit of time there for it to,
yeah,
before it
yeah,
sours
you
out.
enjoy the honeymoon for a little bit here. Uh, but no, that was a good shout out on Bones Highland. That's a huge piece
Yeah,
that is flying under the radar right now. They're shooting the rock really well. I mean,
yeah,
everybody is on
yeah.
that team, and they they are well coached, and it shows. So number 3, who do you got?
Number 4. So number 4 for me is going to be the Golden State Warriors, who you've already talked about earlier.
Yep.
We kind of discussed them. So I'll move to number 3 then. And that is where I'm going to have the Milwaukee Bucks at
Ooh,
2-1 so far. Now, to be fair, the Milwaukee Bucks were my number one rated team coming into the season. And I do think, for my money, that's where I would probably play between them and the Nuggets. I would place my money on them, either of those teams, to win the championship. But I went with the Bucks just for how they've played so far, right? And I know it's going to get better. You're not going to see Dame go, 3 for 13 over the course of a season regularly. So I went with the Warriors at number 4 at 3-1. I went with the Bucks at number 3 at 2-1 so far, with wins over the Sixers and the Heat.
love it, man. All right, so my
Who
number
you got at number
2,
3?
or sorry, number 3. This is where I got the Bucks, and this is exactly where I had. Nothing's moved from the beginning of the season. Um, Dame's had like one great game, two not good games, and yeah. But I've seen it. I've seen enough that they're gonna work.
Yeah,
And of course they were gonna work. It's just how good and what does it take away from everybody else as well.
yeah,
I don't think they're missing anything yet. Not don't have a ton of nitpick with this team. Um, it's just, yeah, they haven't peaked yet. So time will tell. Defense has been atrocious, which is crazy on
yeah,
a Giannis team. But that's something I really expect to straighten out here. But again, people giving Dame way too much love for one great game and then two
yeah.
pretty bad ones. And Giannis, I mean, he's not shooting the three ball, which is fine because Dame's goes way up, and
That's what
it's
he's there
crazy.
for. Yeah.
He's down to 2 attempts a game right now.
Well,
And
see,
mind
what's blowing me off the screen for the Bucks right here as I look at Giannis's numbers is the 2.7 assists per game. Now I know it's only
yeah,
3 games, so it's a very, very small sample size. But you look over the course of his career, he's for the last couple years at least, the last 5, 6 years, he's averaged over 5 assists per game. So I don't know if that's obviously the ball's not going to be in his hands as much with a guy like Damian Lillard
but
around, and
it
of
is
course Chris
though.
Middleton. But why do you think the
Yeah,
numbers are down assist wise? Do you think that will change, or is that like a trend that we should look for?
it's just, I mean, where the play's finishing right now. I mean,
Yeah,
his usage last year was at NBA all time, like him and Harden levels at 38%, and that's where he's been. And but it's down to 35. History shows like winning championships, players. I mean, you got to be around 34, 35, anyways.
yeah,
It's just, yeah, you want Giannis because to be a better playmaker because he is a good playmaker
yeah.
and
He is.
he's almost
Hell
as
of a
good
lot
as
of
Dame in
potential.
my estimation, because I don't think Dame's a very good playmaker.
Yeah,
Um, and so that's why I like people compare Maxi to a lot of people, but I like the Dame comparison, just even a faster version of Dame. I really do.
I do too. Honestly,
And
it's
I
hard for
think
me.
Maxi can be a better playmaker pretty easily.
I feel like when it comes out of my mouth, it feels biased. But when it comes out of your mouth, it feels like exactly how I feel about
Go.
Tyrese
I'm
Maxey.
glad
So
we're on board.
Yeah, I've even gone back and looked at Dame's numbers around Maxey's age, and they're very, very similar, just as far as Maxey's growth so far. So I'm with you there. So number 3 for me was the Bucks as well. Number 2, the Boston Celtics at 3-0 so far.
Yep.
I thought they've looked amazing so far. The KP fit, amazing. Jaylen Brown finally started to go off last night, right? Hit over. Last time I looked, he had 7 threes. So he ended up making more than that afterwards. So maybe even 8 or 9 threes last night, for all I know. But nonetheless, I do like what I've seen. It's very balanced. Jason Tatum's Jason Tatum. They just need Jaylen Brown to kind of find his groove amongst KP, amongst Jason Tatum. But last night, he got off to it against the Wizards, nonetheless. But I like what the Celtics have done. I still, overall, contending wise, I would take the Bucks over the Celtics personally. Barring health, all of that included, right? Both teams healthy. I'm going to take the Bucks in the playoffs, but nonetheless, so far this season, I do like what I've seen from the Celtics more. I'll go ahead and give you my number 1. It's very clear here. The Denver Nuggets. They've come out, looked like the championship contender. There was a lot of talk about Jokic and what he was doing this offseason. I think he was doing whatever he needed to keep himself right mentally and
Yeah.
physically because he's looked amazing. The Nuggets have looked amazing. And they're 4-0, man. They came out, they started like a well-oiled machine. The Lakers, right? They come out with all of this revenge talk. Nuggets go and blow them out of the court in the first game. So this team is about business. They very much feel like a team that is very business-like when they step on the court. It's time to handle business and get these other teams out of there. So, yeah, for my money, the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA right now, continuing on from last season, of course.
Yeah, and real quick, I agree with everything you just said, and that's exactly where I see things right now too. The Celtics I had just slightly ahead of the Bucks to for title odds, but it's like identical. And right now, I mean, it's proven like the Celtics defense looks very good. The Bucks it
Yeah,
looks bad,
yeah,
but that's a couple games into the year, and I expect that to change. Like Giannis defense has never been bad,
right.
and Giannis and Brook Lopez on the same team, and
Yeah,
if Chris Middleton can do anything, like there's no way that team shouldn't be great on defense.
yeah,
But
I
anyways,
completely agree.
the Celtics, the best surprise for me so far is Derek White. I mean, he's leveling up another year so far.
He's a glue
Good
guy, man.
attempts, 58% from three. Just doing everything, a little bit of everything.
They're gonna need
Celtics,
him. Lose, Marcus
yep.
Smart, right? Like, obviously, you bring in Drew Holiday, but you lose Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. So
Celtics
they
look
need
so
that depth.
polished. They just need to figure out that bench because they need to probably get Tatum and Brown's minutes down a tad to give them
Yeah,
to Pritchard more. And I really want Svi Mykhailiuk to get minutes, even though I know it's a biased Kansas take, but
spread the
like
floor.
they need it. I think
Yeah,
their depth is very, very particular. And if
doesn't
Al
it?
Horford's gonna do something, he hasn't been good either. Al
Doesn't
Horford's
it
not.
feel like the Boston Celtics is one of those contender teams that it feels like they're going to add something to that bench?
Oh,
Like this
they
bench
yeah.
is not going to look like this once, even
Yep.
halfway through the season.
Correct. Yeah. There's no way they go into the postseason like this unless they do just get a huge level up from Pritchard or like Svi, which is
Yeah,
reaching a lot. Lastly, on Denver, they look 100% polished, as good as ever. 4-0. I hope they just go for it, and they can make this in-season tournament really fun.
yeah,
Um, I'm actually excited for it. I've talked myself into it. It's
I liked it.
only gonna matter is if people play hard. If
Yeah,
like it counts, it's gonna be really important, and I'll weigh it in my all-time standings, and I want it to be that type of thing. And it could be that way is if people play hard, but if they
yeah,
don't, we'll see very quickly. But usually teams don't play this hard like the Nuggets and the Celtics to start this year, and so maybe that's a part of it. Who knows?
yeah.
Maybe they're getting ready for that in-season tournament, which I hope
I
that's the case.
That's what I was wondering about the Nuggets coming into this season as a team that just kind of ran through the NBA last season, man. How much motivation would they have to come out and just be the best team in the league again and play every night? But they've showed no lack of motivation. They are full in. They're ready to go to start the
The
season. I'm excited for the in-season tournament as well, man. Just to
Good,
to kind of ride your point there.
good. And I know we got to wrap up and get out of here, but
Yes, sir.
I will say the only thing to nitpick on the Nuggets was be Jamal Murray. Like I said, he's going to take a massive leap, and I mean he's been very good, and his numbers are good. It's just I think he'd take a little more of the scoring load, which hasn't. It's
Yeah,
basically stayed the exact same, and he's just peaks in the playoffs type of thing. But it's spread out. Their bench is doing a lot, so
yeah.
their bench is taking it away from him, which is fine and great in the regular season. And Jokic is at his peak yet, so it's hard to say, but hopefully. I don't hope that. I just hope they keep winning. I think that's a lot of fun.
They
So
just have a really good constructed
I'll be
team.
wrong if his scoring doesn't go up.
Even losing Bruce Brown, right, in the offseason, they've found young guys that can like fill his role
Yep.
and help them just as much as they need. Reggie Jackson's getting more minutes this season. Peyton Watson, right, 16 and a half minutes, 8 points per game. So like you said, it's just it's spread out across the board. And I think there's room to grow for guys like Braun, Strother. I think they'll find even more within their role as the season goes on as well, though. So we got the same top three. I think we're pretty aligned here
Love it.
to start the season, my man. But that is going to wrap up this episode of Scotty Talks NBA. We got to discuss the Harden trade. That's going to be huge. It's going to be something to watch going forward. I'm hoping to see him on the court with the Clippers very soon, just so we can talk about this next week, my man. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you for joining me. Everybody, go give Zach a follow on Twitter at Zak Noble. You can find myself at Scotty Drown. That is going to be it for this episode.
Check out my new show, please.
Oh, yes, please. Plug it. My bad, man. Go ahead.
All good. All things NBA, and we got the purple on the screen. That's how you're going to recognize us. Chris, Persianen, Albert, and Wynn. We're growing this thing pretty well. Having a lot of fun with it. We're getting guests and just talking around the league. Chris is a New York beat guy. Al is a amazing capper, man. If you need to make some money,
hell yeah, that's
all
what
his
I like
free
to hear.
plays, man. No, he's on fire. It's insane. But yeah, check us out, please. All things NBA, yes, ball is life.
I will. I'll throw it in the bios in the summary section of this episode. A link to the All Things NBA pod for my man Zak Noble. And guys, be sure to go check it out. Give it a subscription. We'll link it up in the summary here under the show. But that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Have a great rest of your Tuesday there. Go Sixers.